back again for another
What's up,
expert
everybody?
interrogation. So we've got Wes Moore here today with iPlayer, and we're going to have a big discussion about video hosting. He's bringing a wealth of knowledge and information. So how are you doing today, Wes? We appreciate you being on.
Hey, I'm really good, guys. Thanks for having me.
Good. Well, hey,
Yeah,
guys.
man, I got it.
Go ahead, Chris.
No, I was going to say that it's really cool for me to have Wes on because Wes has played, a major role in, the success of my production company over the years as it relates to video hosting and DVD mastering. I mean, gosh, Wes, I've probably been working with you in one way or the other for, 12, 13 years, maybe even before you knew who I was, probably. But it's it's awesome to have you on, man. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, I think we go back to the days of More Digital when we were authoring DVDs at a time when professional content producers, mostly videographers, couldn't produce it without spending a fortune. And then, of course, that became a lot less expensive, and I sold the company to Home Movie and went to Morecast, and we did the do-it-yourself websites focused on videographers, and I sold that company, and then and then from that came iPlayerHD, which surprisingly doesn't have my last name in it. So. But yeah, we've been together for a long time, Chris. You and I, and boy, a couple of thousand other videographers around the country.
Well, I was thinking today on the way into the office, I was like, I would venture to say if you're not the first, you're one of the first people that really took control of supporting our industry, creating business models that made complicated services affordable. That, now it's like there's services everywhere that, make it easier for us to serve our clients. But, I just feel like that you were kind of a pioneer as it related to that. So it's just been really cool. And I'm glad that, you're going to be able to share with our viewers today just how you've done that kind of leading up to this point, and also give us some insight on how, what you're doing now can help them continue to grow moving forward. So maybe
Sure.
just kind of the first thing to kick this off, you already gave us just a little bit of that, but maybe give us a few more minutes, just kind of the background. What's up, Michael?
Let's just give everybody the quick heads up on guest mode and everything else. Right before we get going here, guys, anybody in guest mode, if you guys want to interact, you can do that by trying to type in the chat. And then when you do that, if you're not obviously logged in because you're in guest mode, you'll be prompted to log in via Facebook or Twitter, or you can do Streetcast. The second half of the show, because the first half of the show here, we're going to be, Chris will be interrogating Wes, but the second half, we're going to let you guys ask Wes questions. So that's right below Wes. You'll be able to submit a question for the second half of the show. So appreciate you all being on, and rock and roll. So go ahead.
All right, so Wes, just give us the rundown of kind of your background in our industry. You gave us a small snippet a second ago, but just
Sure.
Let everybody know sort of big picture, what's the Wes Moore story?
All right, so my ninth launch is iPlayer. We're going to celebrate our the beginning of our sixth year. I guess that makes us 5 years old in April, which is next week. And I'm actually going to celebrate that in Israel because we've got a major partner for iPlayer that we're working with in Israel, and more news on that at a later date, probably in 2 or 3 weeks. So yeah, I used to own a company that had nothing to do with digital anything. And I wanted to do something that was digital, and I was having dinner with a friend of mine in 1999. We're talking about DVDs, and are DVDs really going to happen, because there were so many other formats that didn't. And I decided in 2000 to start a company called More Digital, producing DVDs, authoring them. The natural target for us was not consumers, because they weren't going to do it, was professional videographers who were producing all kinds of content. I think at that time mostly events, weddings and other events, and bar mitzvahs and bat mitzvahs and all that sort of stuff. We went to WEVA had a convention the summer of 2000 in Las Vegas. We did that, and we ended up doing that the next 2 or 3 years. We became a major sponsor alongside Sony and Panasonic. It was interesting to see our name up on the big screen with Sony and Panasonic. And of course, we paid a lot of money for that, but it was worth it. It built a nice brand. But 3 years into it, it became apparent that professional videographers became our focus. were going to be able to do this stuff on their own. We always kind of knew that was going to happen. So we sold what we had to HomeMovie.com. And because we still had, although we couldn't compete with HomeMovie with professional videographers, we had a brand with several thousand professional videographers around the United States and to a certain extent around the world. And we decided to sell something else to them that they could use that we wouldn't be in conflict with HomeMovie, and that's when we started Morecast, which was all about websites. And at that time, as you all remember, it's kind of crazy. It was just 10 years ago, but a lot of folks didn't have websites. Probably 75% of the professional videographers, maybe more than that, didn't have a website. And they wanted, and I know professional videographers, they like to do things themselves. They're cost conscious, they're smart consumers. So we built a company and a technology that allowed them to build and maintain their own websites. As that changed, the industry changed over several years. Some really big players came into the market. We decided that maybe we should sell this company and really focus on the thing that we loved and knew the best, which was video. We were delivering some video product with Morecast, very immature relative to today, all dinosaur kind of stuff. So we sold more digital, rather Morecast, and we launched iPlayerHD. And iPlayerHD's primary focus was to deliver video products, online video products, to professional videographers, which is still a vertical that we work with, but is to deliver video accessibility to any business in any industry, whether it's a profit or a nonprofit. So iPlayer launched in 2008, April of 2008. We started technology in 2007 because we had to write all the code and hire all kinds of people to do it. And then each, as you know, Chris, because you're an iPlayer subscriber and have been since the very beginning, we've had many different, I think we're up to release 9 now of iPlayerHD. We continue to add features and functionality. And along that path, of course, a lot of others have entered the market. A lot have left the market, and I think we're down to probably 4 or 5 really good companies, online video platforms, iPlayerHD being one of them. I'm not here today to promote iPlayer any more than I have so far, but there are a lot of good OVPs out there. And we approach the market very simply when people sign up for a trial account, which lots of people do every day. The focus that we have with each of those potential customers, because they start out as trial accounts, is to give them the intelligence, the information they need to make an informed decision about iPlayer and whether or not it fits their particular needs. And oftentimes it doesn't, sometimes it doesn't, of course. So we're in the online video platform industry. So you're a business or a nonprofit, and you want to deliver video to your customers or your audience, whatever your audience is, whatever your product is, whether it's e-learning or selling real estate or a professional videographer trying to deliver some sort of content. iPlayer serves that purpose. So that's the business we're in, and it's the entire industry. That's the thing that I know best and what I want to help you all out with today.
So, you know, obviously in 2008, I mean, YouTube was already on the scene, but it certainly wasn't as dominant as it is today. And I know in our industry, and I'm sure every industry, but definitely our industry, there's this constant, debate on, well, why pay for video hosting? Why not just use the free stuff? I know why I pay, but talk us through, I mean, what are the advantages? Why does it make sense to have a paid hosting service versus just a free service? And just start with that. What are the reasons you would want to do a paid hosting scenario versus a free hosting scenario?
Well, I think for professional videographers, the analog here is probably very simple. When you're doing an event or you're working with a corporate customer, they always have the alternative that they can buy a camera relatively inexpensively and do it themselves, right? At the end of the day, though, what do they get for that? Do they get something as good as they're going to get when they're not hiring someone? Now, if someone can't afford to pay a professional videographer to come in and create content for them, that's one thing. If the money's not there, the money's not there. You've got to live with it until the money is there. Same thing applies to paying for video hosting. But there is a cost to working with YouTube. The cost is their advertising and their branding. Their branding never goes away. Advertising can go away. It depends on how smart you are with the code and things that you have to do to go out of your way to make that happen. But let's not forget that YouTube is a Google brand, and Google makes 100% of their income through advertising. That's how they make their money. It's how they pay their light bill, right? So they're incentivized to put an ad, a display ad, in every single video on their platform. That's their goal. Now, right now, I believe the numbers are around 11 or 12% of all the videos that are up on YouTube are monetized, which means that they will show an ad. Their goal, of course, is to reach 100%. Now, they'll never reach 100% for two reasons. One, there'll never be that much advertising, and two, you're not going to they're not going to put an ad on a terrorist video, because you see these crazy terrorist videos and these other crazy videos and crazy people doing stuff on YouTube all around the world, the United States included, maybe especially. They're not going to put ads in that. So you always run the risk when you take a YouTube video and embed it on your website that there's going to be an ad there. So there is a cost to that. There's a distraction when they click on the YouTube link and they now go to a YouTube page, which not only has your video, but any other videos with similar tags. Oftentimes those similar tags are competitors, and it's as easy a thing. Next time you're on a website where you see a YouTube video embedded, click on the YouTube logo and study the page that you're now on. First of all, you've just left a website that particular company wants you to stay on. Well, you just left. You're gone. Now, that doesn't mean you can't come back. It's probably still open somewhere on your desktop, but you've just left. There's a value in keeping traffic. I mean, we work very hard to drive traffic to our website, right? So why would we do anything to risk having them leave? So there's a cost to free. Now, having said all of that, I know there is a debate about that, and I think all of the online video platforms like iPlayer and all of them that are out there, they all, I think, have taken a similar position that I've taken, which is, it's really a very simple answer to the argument is, you should be on YouTube. In fact, I'm on YouTube. iPlayer's on YouTube. You should put as much content as you possibly can on YouTube and tag it properly. Use their links back to your website. Use YouTube to drive traffic to your website. That's a no-brainer. And I think savvy marketers do that. But if I said to you, you've got to pay $200 to get your video unbranded on your website, you'd say, I'm sticking with YouTube because, my God, I can't. That's just a ridiculous cost, and there's no value in that to me. But if it's a lot less than that, in iPlayer, you can check out our pricing. We're not going to talk about that here. Look at some of the other online, just search for video hosting. You'll find us all. You can see all the pricing and do your comparison shopping. You're going to find that it's substantially less than that, and that cost is, cheap compared to the cost of people coming to your site, clicking on the YouTube logo, and going away. And contrary to what some people think, having a YouTube video on your site does not give you any more prestige because you're using YouTube. Everybody in the world uses YouTube. So again, I think to answer your question, the long way around, Chris, is everybody should be on YouTube. You should use it as a marketing tool to drive. YouTube is the second largest search engine. It's not the same search engine as Google. Let's understand that. People generally go to YouTube looking for videos of interest to them. They generally don't go looking there for videos related to a product that they want. That's generally, there are certain products that, of course, you are going to go to YouTube and say, is there a video on this thing? I want to learn how to use it. But generally that's not the case. But it is the second largest search engine because people are consuming a lot of video. And as you probably all know, listening today, that of all the bandwidth, all the bits used on the internet right now, well over 75–80% of it is video. So the pipes have to keep getting fatter to accommodate all that, especially since everybody's getting fatter connections to the web. So does that answer your question, Chris?
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's perfect. So, obviously, I'll just say caveat it with the fact that, we use YouTube the same way. We're all over YouTube to drive traffic, but as soon as we get them to the website, for the most part, I'm trying to, shut down the gates once I get them there and keep them from having ways to get off my website. And the way I do that is with the iPlayer. The cool thing, though, is I know it's changing every day, but I think there's a client perception. Like if you're a high-dollar production company, or you're trying to be a high-dollar production company, if you're sending a client, a video proof and it's branded YouTube, or you're sending them, or they're watching your samples and they're all YouTube. Some do find you there, but I just like sending them to a page that has my logo, the video. I use the actual, I don't even know what you call them now, the actual pages themselves, the iPlayer pages, to
playlist pages. Sure. Yep.
Yeah, the playlist pages to say, hey, look at these examples. I upload different versions. If I'm trying to pitch a client, I'll put let's say that it's a flooring company. I'll put the best work that I've done for other flooring companies in one playlist, brand it, contact info, send it to them. It's like I can kind of create my own little mini website in 5 minutes. And that's just one of hundreds of advantages of having a paid service. And I know you can do some of that stuff with YouTube, but it just, as a professional, I just think a paid, whether it's iPlayer or like you're saying, any of the other number of paid service providers out there, there's a lot more to it than what I think people know and understand. And I've got a lot of clients, of big corporate clients, they absolutely don't want their stuff on YouTube, period. No question. I mean, they do not want their CEO talking about why it's necessary to lay off 100 employees next month anywhere in the universe where it can be shared. So let's move to the next question. Okay. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say that, to your point, that YouTube is very heavily invested in our culture right now, but so was MySpace, 7 years ago. Things change, and as people understand there are alternatives and the awareness begins, then there's some movement, and we're starting to see that movement. Look, worldwide there are about 60 or 70 million businesses that are using YouTube. I can promise you iPlayer doesn't need even 1% of that to do very well. So our goal is not to evangelize and change the whole world, but is to reach out to the world, let them know our position, as the other OVPs are also doing, and adding features and functionality that give the value beyond the so they're really saying, okay, it's not just about being unbranded and getting rid of YouTube, but there's other stuff that we can do with iPlayer or any of the OVPs that makes a difference. And it's just a matter of getting that message out. And that's all I have to say about that.
Yeah, there you go, man. So talk about, in the video production vertical, what are some of the, I've mentioned a couple of the ways that I use it, but from your perspective, what are sort of the most popular ways that we're using paid services, to promote ourselves, to brand ourselves? What's kind of the highlights there?
Well, every customer that we have, we call them subscribers, and we have a substantial number of customers, and we track the kind of businesses that they're in for the most part. We see some of the videos. Technically, we look at it. We're supposed to look at every video if we can, just to make sure there isn't anything up there that's inappropriate according to our rules and the laws of the United States and other countries. But they're all produced by professional camera person and editor, right? So this is the crowd right here. And so who's using the video? Well, if you're a professional videographer and it's your website, then you're looking to create a stunning HD experience that is unbranded, as we just talked about, that has some features, and you're going to deliver them. Let's look at some verticals that iPlayer works with. For example, real estate is a big one, and most of that content in real estate is created now by professional videographers, and there is a market out there. I think the margins may be a little bit skinny, depending on the type of property, but there's business out there for anybody with a camera. But we have a lot of e-learning, a tremendous amount of e-learning on our platform. So, and I'll give you some of the kinds of products that are being taught about. We have the obvious ones: music, guitar, singing, piano. There's not violin, some other kind of instrument. There's mathematics. We've got a lot of fitness, and it brings e-learning, and it takes someone who's been a school teacher for 25 years and they retire and they're bored. Well, they can create content however they create it, whether they hire a professional to do it or they do it in front of the cam, put it up on iPlayer, and they can use our content monetization feature where they can sell the videos. I think professional videographers that do events can start selling videos using content monetization. Most of us platforms have it, where you put the video up, they watch 30 seconds of it, then a little thing comes up on the screen, and it can be 30 seconds, a minute, 2 minutes, whatever you want it to be. It goes up on the screen, and you say, hey, you want to watch the rest of this, it's $1.99, and then you have access to the video. That's content monetization. That's another way they use it. And then product marketing, companies that are selling every kind of product imaginable that, again, don't want the YouTube experience on their website, but want an unbranded player that when people go to the page, it just consistently plays, and it plays on all devices. They don't have to worry about Androids, these guys right here, and the iOS and the iPads and the desktops. So there's any number of types of customers. In fact, let me just see right here. The other one, sports is a big one for us. Sports is definitely a big, lot of full games going out there. High school, you name the sport, everything's up there. This time of year, a lot of lacrosse are going up, and we see this all around the country. And iPlayer, by the way, has customers everywhere in the world. Our very first customer, in fact, in April of 2008 was a, God rest his soul because he's passed on. His name is Jock Hewitt. Great guy, realtor down in Hawke's Bay, New Zealand. And we've done a lot of real estate since then. So those are the kinds of ways that folks are using iPlayer.
So I want to add that the biggest difference too with a paid service, and certainly my experience with you, is, I can't tell you how frustrating it is on those days where you're in the middle of negotiations with a big client for a big job, and you just send them an email that says, hey, go to my portfolio, check out my work, and then you realize when you go to your portfolio that the videos aren't loading, and you're thinking, holy crap, I just sent people there to go look at it. Well, here's the deal. There isn't a hosting provider on the planet that is going to have 100% uptime. There's going to be just, because a lot of the stuff you can't even control. I mean, anything between your servers and where I'm sitting, where my website sits, can create a problem. But when that happens with my YouTube videos, there's nothing I can do. I put an email in, hope that maybe somebody sees it, gives a crap about it. I send an email to customer support at iPlayer or some of these other paid deals, and it's like, you have a vested interest in making sure that our content is back up live, instantly. And obviously, I'm not going to say, oh, it's always, nobody can give you immediate response all the time. But it's cool to be able to send that support ticket to a paid service and go about my business, and then know that it's working, to fix my problem. And you don't get that with the free services. I mean, it just doesn't exist.
No, and you never will. There's no support at YouTube. It's not going to happen. Vimeo is a very good company, but the support there is well, they give away most of the stuff for free. They can't afford to provide support. iPlayer and I think all the other OVPs that matter. You pick up the phone, you call them. If you really need to. Although I have to say, what's interesting I've learned over the last 5 years is that phone, it never rings. It doesn't ring. I think we get 2 calls a week. I don't know if I'm giving away anything here, but it never rings. People prefer email. And then, I can tell you, here's a little secret about iPlayer. Less than 2% of our subscribers on a monthly basis email for support. What does that say? And I suspect the other OVPs they're just as good, and there's good companies out there probably in the same situation. You build a platform, it works. iPlayer in 5 years has been down once. Only one time will be down, and it was and it may have been twice, but this one time was really fast. The last time, it was in the last 6 or 7 months, and it's only because Amazon CloudFront went down. Amazon has, if you're not familiar, they have something called web services, and what Amazon has done is they have leveraged 100,000 servers globally that are used to sell product. We all know where Amazon came from, their roots. Well, they've morphed, and they said, look, we've got hundreds of people writing code. We've got a giant platform. Let's create other services that, let's create our own cloud, and let's put it up, and people will use it. Well, we use it. We use it for our databases, relational databases. We use it for Amazon S3, which is where everything's stored. We use their Glacier, so all content is backed up in case there's ever a catastrophic loss at Amazon. S3, and usually would be error on our end, although that's never happened. And we use CloudFront, and EC2, by the way, is our servers, and you can spin up, we build this network within their network that can scale. If we had 1 million people come in 5 minutes to watch a video, they'd just be able to see it because it automatically scales up, means it spins up more resources, adds more, which are 2 primary things, CPU and RAM, right? And then, of course, CloudFront. which is the deliverer. They deliver our content. And CloudFront has been a very reliable partner, although we are looking at adding another CloudFront provider, deliverer, CDN, Content Delivery Network like CloudFront. Can't discuss that any more than I just have, but we are, as sort of a backup to carry some of the load, although CloudFront's a huge platform. So we were down once, and it was because CloudFront went down. And when they went down, they took everybody with them. So you don't feel bad, misery loves company, when all kinds of other brands are down at the same time. And I think we were down for 3 or 4 hours. And I have to tell you, before that went down, I had a full head of hair. And so as a business owner, we all have those little things that make us, we lose sleep over. And I don't lose sleep over going down because it's just consistently up. But you're absolutely right, Chris. The fact of the matter is, if something, it's not about iPlayer going down as much as it is somebody will send me an email and say my video's not playing. And it's oftentimes it's something as simple as they turned off a switch, or inadvertently, or they didn't they uploaded their own image to be used in the player, and it was a bad file. And because I know these things and my team knows this, we know exactly where to look first and solve the problem and get that video back up. Now, I was a firefighter for 20 years. I live in a small town in New Hampshire, and everybody has to do something, right? So that's what I did. And I certified. I was an EMT and all that stuff. And I remember that, I joined the department because when I thought I had a fire in my wood stove in New Hampshire, 9 months of winter, 3 months of getting ready for winter. So I thought I had a fire. I didn't. And when those firefighters came down that driveway, to you, they were God. Because they were going to come down, and whatever problem you had, and I learned this, being a firefighter and EMT for 20 years, I didn't see myself this way any more than my friends in the department did. But when you walk down that driveway, they see someone who's going to solve a huge problem you have right now. Well, when I'm dealing with a customer, and the customer's got this problem, they've got to get this video up, and they know they can call or email, and they're going to get a very fast response, and that problem is going to be solved, you got a friend for life. But I like to say to folks, and I say this a lot, we're like, if you're old enough, and looking at some of these pictures that I'm seeing, some of you are, and most of you probably aren't, but Maytag. Maytag is a company that sells appliances, and they used to have this guy, I forget his name, I think he has passed away, in the 70s and 80s and maybe beyond. He was the Maytag man, and he would go out and he would install the appliance, let's say it was a washing machine, and then he would go back to his shop and he would sit by the phone and it would never ring. And what they were saying was that they have a very reliable product that requires very little service. Of course, in their case, not iPlayer, but in their case, you pay a lot for that. And I don't know if that's the case now. I've been in an appliance store years, but the point I'm making is iPlayer, I always say to folks, yeah, we're like the Maytag man. You're going to need some support up front to learn how to do certain things, and then you're going to know what you're doing, and then I'm never going to hear from you again. Unless your credit card expires or some weird thing and we have to call you. And that doesn't happen very often because the systems do that. But that's really what we are. We're the Maytag man. That's what we want to be. And I'm sure that all the folks in my business look at it the same way, which is let's build a product that just runs and requires very little support, because that's what the customers want. It's a software as a service company, a SaaS company. You don't have to download any software. You don't have to update anything. It's all up in the cloud. And it works, and it should work. And I'll be honest with you, the technology on this, the curve used to be steep where you were constantly adding not going to be so steep anymore. I don't see any dramatic improvements in technology over the coming years, with one exception. There'll be some features, of course, and we'll look to add those. But is the pipe. Right now, we're delivering it, a couple of megabits per second. When we think everybody's got a big, giant pipeline, like Google's trying to get a full gigabyte, pipe. I think they've got one testing out in the Midwest somewhere, maybe Kansas or someplace. When everybody's got a gigabyte of bandwidth, then we're going to start delivering 25 megabit per second, super HD, 1920 by 1080 video that you could watch on one of these 70-inch web-ready, Samsung TVs that you've probably seen advertised recently for $12,000. It'll probably cost about $25, or you'll get it free with a subscription to Time Magazine in another couple of years, because the prices will come down. Well, that's the only thing really that's major that's going to happen with video on the web that I can project out. Other than it should get cheaper, and you get more bandwidth and more storage. And at iPlayer, when we first launched our $30 product 5 years ago, it was 5 gigabytes of storage and 5 gigabytes of bandwidth, and today we're up to 50 gigabytes of storage, and that's soon to go up dramatically, and we're at 200 gigabytes of bandwidth, and that's soon to go up dramatically. So as my costs come down, we pass them off, not in reduced pricing, but in increased capacities. And I know I've gone on about that, Chris. I hope I've answered it.
No, that's okay, man. That's good stuff. So, you know, I probably haven't really dug into the new features probably in the last 2 or 3 upgrades, just because we've been so busy, or updates. What are some of these services? Like, you've already mentioned a little bit about content monetization, and we've even got a question about that we'll ask in a minute from a viewer. But what are some of the services that you feel like are being underutilized, not only with iPlayer, but that other paid hosting are doing, like, you know, video sitemaps or social sharing? I mean, what are some tools that we have available to us with these services, even as an iPlayer subscriber, that we're just not taking advantage of?
Yeah, and you just actually brought up 2 of the more important ones, and that's social sharing and the video sitemap. Now, social sharing, I think people are using, and all of the platforms have some sort of sharing, and it's something you turn on in a video that says, okay, I want share, and different types of share. You know, we've all seen share on video, and there's different ways to present it in the video, sometimes in a bar below the video, just different ways. So we're all doing that, and you should take advantage of that for video that you want to share, right? Because people will share. People see something they like, they will share. I don't know if the percentages are 10 or 20%, but something between 0 and 10% in most situations, people will share your video. So that's important. We all know the importance of social networking. We're all still just learning it. We all get confused about it. We all don't necessarily trust it at times to do anything for us, but we got to be doing it because over time we learn. The other one that you mentioned, which is video SEO, is something that we have, and I think all of them have now. And video SEO is an interesting subject, and we could spend a lot of time. We could spend a whole hour and a half or hour just talking about video SEO. But essentially, when Google and the other search engines search, video gets some weight, and if they see a video out there that's been optimized for the web, which means it has a title, it has tags, and it has a description, just like you would do with any web page, okay? Except it's a video. And you should do that. And again, my platform and all the other platforms out there, you can absolutely do that. What will that do for your search engine? Well, that's where you spend the hour debating over whether you get much out of it or not. Think of it this way. When you do a search for a particular product or a subject on Google, how often do you see a video associated with that search? Not very often. And we've had it. At one time, iPlayer was ranked #1 on Google for real estate video hosting. I think right now we're number 3, number 4, and number 5. I think number 3 might be our website, and then 4 or 5 are blogs that have written about us, because a lot of folks have written about iPlayer. We're no longer #1 now because another company has come in and they've taken that position. I don't care. We get plenty of realtors. I'm glad I'm in the top 5. But you know, we had a video there for a very long time, and that nothing changed. It's still optimized. The whole thing is done the same way, but then all of a sudden it's gone, and I don't see anybody else's video there. So I think it's important that with all SEO that you do as much as you can that has some weight, and put it in the mix and hope that Google likes you. You know, I mean, I'm always astounded. Like, for example, HD video hosting. iPlayer has been in the #1 position or #2 position forever, above Vimeo. Now, I can tell you, Vimeo gets 18 to 20 million uniques a month. iPlayer doesn't get anything near that. Our site is no more optimized than Vimeo, yet we're always ahead of Vimeo on HD video hosting. And that drives traffic to our site. It absolutely does. Video hosting, we're either number 11 or number 10 or 9 or 8. But again, I'm not seeing any videos on many of those pages. So I think video SEO is important. It's easy to do. Everybody's got it. One of the other features that I think are underutilized, they're certainly underutilized by iPlayer subscribers because we don't have them, but we are adding them. It's interesting. I don't lose, from what I can tell, we study these things, right? I don't see us losing much business because we don't have them, although we are adding them, and they'll be up in another 90 or 120 days, hopefully sooner than that. But in a better analytics. Right now in iPlayer, all you're going to get is the number of views and the percentage of the video completed. So if if a video was viewed at 50%, you know that half of the video was viewed and half of it was not. If you've got 22,000 views on that video and it was 73%, then on average it was a 73% completion rate. That's enough data for most people. But what we're going to add, and what my competitors do have, I'm telling you right now, if you've got to have those, you don't want iPlayer, you want to go to somebody else. What we're going to add them is geographic location, IP address. Not that you can really do much with IP address, but it may be good if you're doing content monetization, or you've given someone a username, password access to your video, and you find that multiple IP addresses are logging in through that, or somehow, not that that's necessarily going to be used, but information like how number of times that the play button was hit, the stop button was hit, things like that we're going to add that we think some people will find more relevant. Even if only 5% of our customers use it, at least we can now say, hey, we've got better analytics. And those are the primary features. Content monetization, we spent a lot of time building that. We haven't promoted it as much as we have, but the customers who are using it absolutely love it. They love it because instead of hiring someone to write code to build a behind their paywall page where the content can be found, and all of that, they can do it themselves. They can just simply say, I'm going to embed this video on my page, and I know when they watch it, they're only going to get a certain amount to view because I've set that a period of a minute, 2 minutes, seconds, whatever, before they have to pay for it. And it's very simple to turn on. So those are the kinds of features that I think, in customization, which everybody uses to a certain extent, what splash images they want, thumbnails they want. One feature that we just added that is extremely popular, everybody, is the popover feature. So instead of embedding a player on a page, you put a thumbnail or an image there, and they click on that, and they know to click on it. It's intuitive, and the video opens up on top of your page. And why is that important? I think most everybody's got that now. That's important because a lot of pages they don't have limited real estate, right? You don't have a place for a player, but you want to get a video in there. So that's how you do it, right? They click on that, it opens on top of the page, which is really, it's a web page that opens on top of your web page. It's just another web page. It just happens to be transparent with some darkness in there. It looks like you turned the lights down on the previous page. It's really just a page on top. So there's no magic to that, but it's a great feature, and that one's getting used a lot. And real estate agents like it because they have very limited real estate. They got all this other information on the page. They don't necessarily want to put a video in there. Most of them haven't been putting videos. Most real estate properties don't have video right now, and it's one way to do it. But that's been a very, very popular feature. And then there's another feature that we'll come out with soon where you're going to require an email address to see a video. I don't think that's going to be used very often because it gets in the way. It's an obstruction, a barrier to entry, and but in certain circumstances, some people say, I don't care. If you want to watch the video, you got to send me an email address. Now, understand, they're sending an email address. It's not asking for a verification. So they can just put in, blah, blah, blah at gmail.com and then watch the video. But at least they capture something, and then they can mark it to that. Because when you give your email to somebody, you're basically saying it's okay to send me crap,
That's right. So,
right. So those are some of the features, anyway.
In the content monetization, and we've got a question about it, so I don't want to ask you that question. But in terms of the payment processing, are you just linking that up to whatever payment system that we have? I mean, PayPal. I mean, how does the actual payment processing work in that monetization?
Yeah. So that's a good question, and we partnered with Kling. So. We deliver video in two ways. We deliver through Flash, and if you're on any machine, desktop or laptop or Mac, that is not Windows 8, you're seeing our video in Flash. In fact, you're probably seeing everybody's video in Flash. If you're on Windows 8, you're seeing HTML5. Hopefully in another 2 years, when all these browsers and platforms and operating systems get their crap together, everything will be HTML5. I would love to say goodbye to Adobe Flash for any number of reasons we don't have time to discuss here. It's been a great platform, but it's just there are problems with it. But you're going to see so Kling has a plugin. It's a Flash plugin. And Kling is the company that provides all of the back-end financial transaction. iPlayer does not have here's a big word, pecuniary interest in the transaction, which means we don't make any money on it. It's either because I'm stupid or because I'm just, I want to make this thing. If believe me, Kling will stop paying us if it becomes we have enough of you signing up. Then I may negotiate a deal. But for now, we have no pecuniary interest, and nor do we want. We just want a feature that works. So they have a plug-in that plugs into Flash. They also have a plug-in that plugs into HTML. And in the HTML version, there's no plug-in that provides a preview. So there's a difference between Flash and HTML5. If they're watching on an iPad or an Android device, which is all HTML5 from iPlayer, there's no preview. It just comes up and says, you want to watch this video, you got to pay. So you're on your mobile page, if you build a specific mobile page, you're going to have to, you treat it a little bit differently. On your regular website, your non-mobile pages, you'll have a preview, and that'll be in Flash, again, unless it's Windows 8. So did I answer your question?
Yeah, and then so basically I would just create an account with Kling and then work out the payment details with them, right? I mean, that's how that works.
That's right, and you link all that through your iPlayer site. So you said it'll tell you, if you want to monetize this video, check off your little button here, and then it'll start asking you stuff. And if you don't have a Kling account, it'll send you over to Kling. Sign up. You're done. Do your financial transactions over there. Kling is it's expensive if your volume isn't very high. So if you're doing, I've never done the metrics on this, but if you don't have a lot of volume, then you would use their free account. Their free account is an 80-20 split, so you keep 80 and they keep 20. The 20% includes, of course, any of the credit card transactions, which I think run between 3 and 4%. That's included, so you keep 80%. If you reach a point where you've got enough volume, then you're paying them $99 a month subscription, and then it's a 92-8 split. And what's nice about the 92-8 split, which you don't get on the free, is you do get access to all of the email addresses of the people that are Kling subscribers, so you can market to them. All right, and that's pretty significant. So I've never done the math, but obviously you could do the math and say, at what point does the 80-20, 92-8 become worth spending $99?
Yeah. Awesome, man. Well, we got 4 questions. Michael, let's do a kind of a break and get people caught up to what we're doing, and then roll into the questions.
Yeah, everybody, we're here with Wes Moore of iPlayerHD. We're talking video hosting here today. So there's still a bunch of you in guest mode. We're going to be taking your questions. So you can ask Wes your questions about video hosting here right now. So if you want to do that, you can just submit a question right below Wes. And when you try to do that, since you're in guest mode, it'll ask you to log in via Facebook or Twitter, or you can do Spreecast. Facebook and Twitter are the quickest, easiest ways. And then you'll be able to submit a question. You'll also be able to interact in the chat at that time. So get your questions in here. We'll be on here for about another 20-25 minutes with your questions now for the rest of the time. And I think that's all I got right now. So let's rock and roll.
Do you want me to go ahead? I'm seeing some questions here, and you want to just handle them?
Oh, I'll queue them up one by one.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
Yep.
Okay.
So Aaron Thomas says, "Hi Wes, is there a dollar limitation for content monetization? Also, what is the refund policy if someone doesn't like the content they purchased?"
Well, that's a good question. The latter question about refund, that's a Kling support question, not something that I can provide support on because that's between you and Kling. I suspect that, well, I'll let them answer that question. That question's never been asked. I'm not sure. I suspect that once they pay for some content, they're kind of stuck with it. But yeah, ask Kling. And then the other question, which is a dollar limit to that, there's a low end. I believe it's 25 cents or 30 cents that is the least that you can charge. As far as the high side, boy, I would imagine that you could probably go 25 or 30 or $40 for content. Well, you notice that there is a subscription. You can also turn on subscriptions so that they get charged every month or periodically the same amount of money. But I would address those. You can go to Kling, C-L-E-E-N-G, Kling.com, and shoot them an email, and they'll give you answers on that.
Grow.
I hope that helps.
And I wonder too. Let me interject something real quick, Michael. I wonder too, Aaron, if, and Wes, maybe you can add to this, there'd be the possibility that you could always embed some kind of content into the video itself. I mean, if that became a problem. I mean, in essence, if somebody needed for whatever reason they wanted that refund, you could say, hey, for whatever customer service, send an email directly to you as opposed to having to do it through the financial company. If you're that concerned about it.
Yeah. You can, with iPlayer, we have a feature. It's called end of video text, and it'll link to something. So, for example, you could say when the video ends, you could put something in the video that says, if you like this video or you don't or whatever, click here, and it'll take you a page where you can ask for a refund. It could be an email. It could be any of those sorts of things. So you could do that.
Cool.
Or you could just put it on the web page where the video is embedded. That's right.
You can always do that too.
Yeah.
Right. So, go ahead, Mike. With another one. Are multiple versions of an uploaded video created like bits on the run? Not sure.
Yes, we do. So we create 3 versions. We create the version that we deliver to the mobile, and then we deliver what we call HD low, which is 1,000 kilobits per second, and then we create a 2,000 kilobit per second. So we create 3 different files. We've done that now for 5 years. It has worked extremely well for us. We have something called bandwidth detection. So when we detect your bandwidth, if we don't feel that you warrant seeing the HD high, then we give you the HD low. And very rarely does anyone not warrant getting the HD low, but you know what? We're going to give it to you anyway. And I can tell you, as my mother would say, Scout's honor, that we don't sit here waiting for calls or getting calls from people saying their videos aren't playing or buffering or any of that. I mean, that does happen on occasion. I mean, I can't say it doesn't. Maybe once a month someone will call and say, geez, someone's videos are buffering. And, it's almost always a local issue. And one of the problems with detection can be, especially with ISPs like Comcast is a good example. I'll probably get sued now. But Comcast is known for traffic shaping. If you look up Comcast and traffic shaping, you'll see there have been several lawsuits where what they'll do, and a lot of the cable companies sometimes will do this, they give you a really burst speed when a page loads because they want the page to load really fast, and then they drop it down. So they'll tell you you're getting consistently this. And by the way, when you do a net speed test, you go to NetSpeed or any of those, speed tests, SpeedNet or whatever online, when they measure, they're measuring using a very small file. The more accurate way to know what your connection speed really is to do a much larger file, like 10 times that size, and see how it is over the long haul. But in any case, if we detect that you can see the HD high, then that's what we're going to deliver, and we don't change midstream. We're not going to do that. But it's not a problem. We've been doing this a long time. It's not a problem. And then that mobile version is optimized for all devices, and it works, especially the larger screens, which are now I've got an iPad, Samsung, the big 10-inch. I've got them all those. We use them to test, and they play very well. The resolution is a little bit less. It's 640 by 360 is what we use on all the mobile devices, both the small and large screens. And then 1280 by 720 is what we use in the HD high and the HD low.
And I found, we've had a lot of issues in working with corporations, the whole problem of them being able to see our videos behind their firewall. And iPlayer, since I started using iPlayer, I mean, I don't know that I've had a single customer in 5 years say, I can't see the videos. And so that's been huge because, we had to get to a point where you have to deliver DVDs for somebody to see it just because they can't watch the video online with some of the old hosting applications that we used. And YouTube, I mean, it's amazing how many companies are just shutting down YouTube. Forget about it. You can't see a video on YouTube sitting inside a Fortune 500 company anymore unless you have special rights, special access. So I think, number one, it looks at the network like Wes is saying, adjusts the speed, but in terms of deliverability, a lot of your corporate clients, Aaron, are absolutely going to be able to see the content that's being fed through the iPlayer.
Perfect. Perfect.
Yeah, again, that's just not a problem that we have. So,
Chris Rains, what's up, buddy? Thanks for being on the call today. So regarding video SEO, do you think that will gain sophistication in the same way that text SEO has? I see a lot of SEO videos online that are clearly just there to gain ranking, yet provide close to no value for the viewer. In the future, do you think that the engines will find a way to reward content creators that provide real value?
Well, I hope that they do, but Chris, I don't think I can give you an accurate answer on that. I don't think anybody can. Trying to get into the minds of the the people at Google that figure out this stuff is kind of like figuring out God. And the only way you're really going to understand God is to die. And so I'll tell you, it's you just have to you pay attention to the extent you can, optimize your video SEO as best you can, and you know what? Throw it out there and hopefully it sticks. I honestly can't give you any projection on that. They've changed so many. I'll tell you, we've all seen. Was it Panda was the last Google change that you all heard about, and or maybe there was something since then. I don't know. But all I know is we haven't. What is it called?
Penguin, I think.
Yeah, Penguin. That's it. Thank you. So a little further south than Panda. None of my rankings changed up or down because of that. And there's no rhyme or reason. I'll be honest with you. We have fantastic rankings on quite a few of the most important keywords for iPlayer. I've done almost nothing other than basic SEO. And like you, everybody here, it looks like there's about 50 people here or so, maybe more. We all get emails every day from somebody, from India, from Pakistan, from the Eastern Europe, and here in the United States, offering all kinds of SEO services. And I haven't paid for any of those. I think some of it's just luck of the draw. But good content, written, like you said about the text, I do think that it matters. And I just don't know that they've figured out how to decide if a video is really good content and really relative to that search engine query. So, Chris, Wes at iPlayerHD.com. If you have any more information on this, share it with me, man, because I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, I just think as the technology gets smarter, where they can actually automatically break down the narration copy in a video into transcript form, and then I think the search engines will be looking at the transcript of what gets automatically generated for keywords. But then we'll just get smarter as marketers and start planting keywords in the videos the same ways we do in the pages. So it's always going to be a poker match anyway, I think, no matter how you look at it.
It is. And look, they look at pages, they look at content, and they look at the words on the page and how many of those words relative to the tags that you've put on there. And I don't know, it becomes so convoluted. You got to be careful. You do too much, they take you down, or they kill your rankings because you're working too hard at it. I know we're all frustrated with it. So.
Dave Wowchuk, who we'll have on Expert Interrogations next Tuesday. Super pumped to have him on, and great to have him on the call today. Do you have an option for producers who would like to offer hosting on behalf of services to their clients?
Yeah, hey Dave, good luck when you get on next week. It's a lot of fun. These guys are great to work with. So, yeah, I mean, absolutely. In fact, what I say to professional videographers that I work with is, use your account with as many clients as you want. If you're the only one having access to the account, and this is the key, and I see Peter Stassa, he's a good friend of iPlayer. He's one of them. He's done this with us in the past. He uses the account for multiple clients, especially the clients that don't have access. If a client decides that they need to have access, then you sign them up for an iPlayer account, let them pay for it, and again, I'm trying not to promote iPlayer here, but you're asking the question, we pay a $150 referral fee. I don't think, well, again, I'm not making any comparisons here. We pay a very high referral fee. And when you think about it, it's only on an annual basis they pay. If they pay annually, let's call it a $300 relationship. We're giving away half of that, and the reason is our customers don't leave. Our churn rate in the SaaS business, the churn rate is a percentage of your customers that leave every month, and ours happens to be less than 1%, has been for 5 years. So we know the lifetime value of a customer is very important to us in the software business in the cloud. So it's nice. We pay the $150. We get that out of the way. We know we're going to keep that customer for years and years and years. So if you get a client who wants an account because they have to have their own access, that's the way to do it. We do not have multiple users. It's something we've debated for years now. We've never added it because nobody really asks for it. So you can you get 200 gigabytes of bandwidth, you get 50 gigabytes of storage. I can tell you very few iPlayer subscribers come close to using it all. So if you're a content producer and you've got multiple clients, grab the embed code from a video, give it to your client, they embed it on their web pages, or give them a playlist page, or however you deliver it to them, and you just manage it for them, and hopefully you make money on that relationship. Right? You're paying me $300. You ought to be making a lot more than that on that relationship just for the streaming of the video, if that all makes sense. Dave.
I think I'm one of those guys that hits the tip of the bandwidth or the storage allocation about every 30 days. I'm constantly like, oh my God, I got to start deleting these videos. But cool, man. That's a good answer. I love that. I love that. Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, in terms of using a paid service to generate revenue, that's going way back to the beginning of the interview. That's a huge advantage over having a paid provider versus free. I mean, try selling, YouTube hosting to your clients for, any amount of money. I mean, there's just no way they would get, because everybody in the world knows it's a free service. So it definitely has its advantages.
Look, YouTube uses your video to make money. YouTube uses your video, doesn't compensate you to make money. And again, as I said earlier on in this conversation, everyone on this call should be put a lot of content on YouTube, because it's going to drive traffic to your site. And I'll add something to that, Chris, that I haven't mentioned, and that is that there's an argument. It's never been solved, and I don't think it ever will be. Does embedding a YouTube video on your website somehow give you better rankings? I've never seen it. I've never seen it proven to me that someone is up further in their rankings than they would be if they weren't using YouTube video. Think of the ramifications if you were embedding a video from YouTube on your site and somehow you were getting much better rankings than you would on Bing or any of the other search engines. All right, it's a huge problem. So I don't believe it. Yeah, of course I'm biased. Why wouldn't I be, right? But I think if you speak to any of the other OVPs, if you speak to any video SE experts, you're going to say, well, you know what? Can't prove it. Can't prove it, and it's just not the case. So we give you video SEO tools to do what you can to get your rankings up there, and like everything else, I think you throw it and hopefully it sticks.
Awesome. OVP is online video platform, and SES is, I don't know what SES is. What's that stand for, Wes?
I meant to say SEO.
Okay.
Optimization. SEO. Yeah. That was a clerical error on my part.
So Ken White's on here. How's it going, man? Thanks for being on the call today. How does this work with Google Analytics? Do you have anything that incorporates that?
We did. We took it down recently because we didn't find any value. Nobody was using it. And the problem with Google Analytics is it's looking at a page. Google Analytics isn't actually looking at the video itself and giving you, Google Analytics won't tell you how many times the play button was hit, how many times the video was stopped, any number of things that it won't give you. And so we pulled it down. Nobody was using it. We had it up there for 2 or 3 years. It was just a simple matter of going and getting your UA dash whatever number from Google Analytics. In fact, I think it may still be in Learn. It may actually be in the manager account. I'm not sure if that's come down. To think about that. But anyway, we disabled it. We don't use it anymore. We're going to deliver our own analytics that'll give you much more valuable data.
You're saying that's about 90 to 120. Is that the 90 to 120 days out, the analytics, or is that?
It is. Yeah, we're working on a very big. Yeah, it's not the giggle. It's the new analytics that are 90 to 120 days out. I like to beat that expectation, but I don't think in this case we will, because we've got this big giant project that we're working on right now, and it'll be good for everybody. So, and analytics is in that mix. But again, the interesting thing is that we don't have a lot of people saying, "Geez, why don't you have all this information?" It's pretty rare. And when you're a software company like iPlayer, we built this company. Chris, you've been around forever. We build it based on what people are asking for. And if 1 out of 2,000 people asks for a feature, we're not going to add it. But if 20 or 30 or 40 start asking for a feature, it gets very serious consideration.
Right. We know all about that.
Oh, yes, we do. Yeah, we do.
We've got one here. It's the first one of this kind that's come up, and we told we might avoid this a little bit, but it's okay. I haven't even known of this one really. So Sorensen 360 for hosting. how does iPlayer compare to that?
You know what? I committed to myself before this call that I wouldn't go down that path. So whoever that is, if you want to email me, Wes at iPlayerHD.com, I'll be happy to answer that offline.
Perfect.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, I just want to kind of set.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Sorensen's a good company. No question. Sorensen's a great company. So we can have a discussion about that. And I'll tell you, and I think I may have said this early on in the conversation, when the first lesson that we teach everybody here that provides support to new subscribers, trial accounts, because you get a period of time you get to try it before you buy it, is our job is not to sell you on iPlayer. Our job is to give you the information you need, right? The data that you need to make an informed decision about iPlayer relative to any other online video platforms that you're evaluating. That's the job. We can't do any more than that. And part of the, part of it is just the fact that we're making the effort to give you the information, going out of our way to give you the information you need. Then you make the decision. And look, we're going to win some, we're going to lose some. We all know that. We're all business women, businessmen here. We understand the stakes. We do the best we can. The more we try to sell, the less likely we're going to get the customer. But I'm very happy to answer that question as honestly as I can. It's been a long time, honestly, since I compared us to Sorensen. But I'll look at the question. If I get the email, I'll go to Sorensen's site. I'll look for their strengths and weaknesses, and if I think that there's a reason why we're better than them, I'll throw it out there. It's been a long time since I looked at their pricing and all that. So.
Rock and roll, great answer, man. So that was Guy. I don't think I said his name in case he's listening. Sometimes people aren't looking at the chat and things like that.
So Wes, I know we asked you to commit to an hour, so we're at the hour mark. So we definitely want to be respectful of your time. I mean, there's 5 more questions. That was his answer. He just bailed.
I'll start dropping off, then we'll decide. But I'm in no particular rush. I've set aside a couple hours for this, so.
Cool, man. Thank you.
I want to help people. I mean, if you guys have questions about video on the web, not about iPlayer, if you have questions about iPlayer specifically, Wes at iPlayerHD.com, I'm very happy to answer them. I just go to the site, peruse the site, sign up for a trial account. There's no credit card, and you sign it up and kick the tires and evaluate it and ask questions. But here, I definitely want to help with just video on the web in general and why you would pay versus not pay, and those sorts of issues, if we can focus on that.
Well, and here's the thing, man. I mean, the questions that are loaded up, a lot of them are specific to iPlayer, so that's just, it is what it is, man. I mean, these are if they're curious, go ahead and answer them. I mean, do your thing.
Oh yeah. If they're specific to iPlayer and not asking me to compare us to another company, that I will definitely answer. I'm very happy to do that.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree with that. That's a good point.
Perfect.
All right, Michael.
All right, we've got John Wallage here. I believe he's over in the UK. He's a new viewer here that just started watching on Tuesday, so we're glad to have him back. Says, hey, Wes, can you create a secured section for client viewing, and how secure is iPlayerHD?
Okay, so a secured section, I'm not sure what that means. If you mean secured, like log in to access their content within your account, the answer is no. We have no plans at the moment to do that. That would be what we would call multiple users, where you, the owner of the account, would assign a username and password, and then they can get in and get access to their content. At the moment, we have no interest in doing that. Again, we've bounced that a few times, and it just always ends up in the dead zone because nobody really wants it. The other part of your question, which is how secure we are, we're as secure as any other video platform in the sense that you can turn on and turn off the method by which we deliver our content. Most of the video that you watch in the web is delivered via HTTP progressive, which is essentially it caches to your machine. And I don't know your level of sophistication with video on the web or anybody else's for that matter, but I can tell you that particularly with Windows Internet Explorer, it's about the easiest way to do it is if you watch a video in Internet Explorer, you can go into the Internet options, into the cookies file, and sort by size after you've watched that video, and there's a pretty good chance you're going to see the name of the file .mp4. Right there, it's on your machine, the exact file, digital file that you watch, and if you right-click over it and copy it and paste it on your desktop or in a folder, you now own that video. You can do that with iPlayer if you want, and most of our customers, or all of our customers, probably know that because it's there and they generally know it, and they don't care. And the other option, of course, is if you don't want that. If, for example, if you're doing content monetization or you have some sort of content that is not monetized in that sense, but you don't want anyone to copy it, then you can choose what we call streaming. Now, currently, our streaming is RTMP. It's soon going to be HTTP. We're making a change with that, but it doesn't matter. It gives you the same benefit, which is the video no longer is cached, and which means it can't be copied from your cache. Having said that, understand when you watch video on the web, I don't care where it's coming from. I don't care if we're watching Hulu, all right? If you're watching any platform that's delivering video, they have exposed themselves to you obtaining that digital file. None of it can be protected. Think about it. The bits are coming into your machine. It's a simple matter of having the right software tool to capture them. All right? And so if you ever hear someone say, oh, I guarantee you that no, trust me. I can give you 100 tools. I'm not going to. But I could give you 100 tools where you could copy that video. All right? And there's enough smart people out there. I mean, look, anybody probably 5 years old can do it now because they come out of the womb completely digitized. They just get it. I don't know how that is, but they do. I see antiques, you know, we got to work a little bit harder at it, but you can copy it. But streaming provides the best protection because think about it, the only other way to do it would be encrypt the video. But how does that work? If you encrypt the video, then that means you've got to have some sort of tool on your machine that de-encrypts the video. But then you could have a software tool that goes between the de-encryption and your screen. And if you follow what I'm saying here, there's a way around everything. So the best thing we can do is offer a streaming mode and make it much more difficult. What I say to most folks that are monetizing video or that are trying to protect their video, don't let the tail wag the dog here. Some people are going to steal your content because they really want to steal it. Absolutely. Are enough of them going to steal your content to affect your business? Most likely not. Now, I don't know your business model. I don't know what your video is. I don't know what's all the details of your audience. But in general terms, you can make it more difficult. But there's never going to be a guarantee that your content is absolutely protected. And this is a common question that I get. I probably get this question once every couple of weeks from somebody. But most people deliver it progressively because they just don't care. They want it out there anyway. That's why they share it and so forth. I hope that helps.
Awesome answer.
And if I sound a little nasally, I just spent the last 2 weeks out in Arizona where it was 85 and sunny every day, and I'm back in New Hampshire where it snows just about every 5 minutes. So somehow I've got a cold, I guess.
All good. It's all good. We got Bill Grant. Bill Grant, rock and roll buddy. Thanks for being on the call. How do you handle copyrights with music?
Good question. The way anybody else would under the Digital Millennium Rights legislation that President Clinton signed back in 97 or 98 or 99, sometime when he was president. Under that law, if we receive a letter from a copyright owner that says you have content on your site, we own it. We don't believe that the person with the content up there is licensed to use it, then we have an obligation at that point, and only at that point, to reach out to the subscriber and say, do you have license to this? If you do, provide it. If you don't, let us know. You have a certain amount of time to, and if they don't, then we take it down. I got to tell you, in 5 years, I've never received a single letter from any company saying that we had copyrighted video up there. This question is particularly relevant, I know, with professional videographers because there are certain folks, high-profile individuals, names will not be given here to protect the innocent, who had content up on Vimeo. Vimeo is a high-profile online video platform, an extremely high-profile, and everybody's watching the content there. And so when you put a video up on Vimeo with a piece of copyrighted music, I gather, say, a Frank Sinatra song, or a more relevant band might be, I don't know, you tell me. But I'm stuck with Frank Sinatra and Elvis and Johnny Cash. But if you put any of that content up on there and you've got 10,000 people, or the video goes viral and you got 10 or 50 or 100,000 people out there, there's a pretty darn good chance that someone's going to find out that you've got copyrighted content up there. So in my view, if you're up on a giant platform like Vimeo and you absolutely want to use copyrighted content, don't put it on Vimeo. Your risk, and I'm just throwing this out there, I'm not condoning it in any way, but I am simply saying your risk at iPlayer is going to be significantly lower because we're not a social platform. The chances of your video going viral in a social community are zero, because we don't promote your video in any way. Video SEO is one thing. That's just telling the search engines that the video exists, right? But socially, we're not a social search engine. We're not a social platform. We don't want to be a social platform. So it's a private platform. You share it. You decide that the search engines can find it. I think that answers the question. Again, I'm not condoning. I don't ask. I don't tell unless I'm forced to, and that puts me in compliance with federal law, and that's what matters most to us here. So we act only when asked to act, and in 5 years and millions and millions and millions of streams, we have never been requested to pull anything down. Not once.
All right, we got Steve here. Steve, thanks for being on the call. Is there a plan for Windows Phone Player, or is that a Flash issue?
Windows Phone, are you saying that you're not seeing iPlayer video on that?
Steve, if you're on the call still. See.
Because that should be delivered HTML5. If he's having a problem, we'll send somebody over to Best Buy or whatever, or wherever you can find a Windows Phone and test it, and if it's not playing, that'll be fixed in about 10 minutes. But I haven't had a single report of that. So as platforms change, as new devices come out, for example, I think it was Kindle Fire HD when it came out. Of course, Kindle takes, and that's, I guess, let's quick lesson on video on mobile devices. iOS is iOS. It's a breeze to deliver to. It's just straight HTML5 and QuickTime Player and all that. But Androids, and iOS is only on Apple devices, but Android is a Google open source operating system that Google has given to everybody to use, right? And maybe regretting that a little bit now that Samsung is doing as well as they are. And then each of these manufacturers then takes that open source and they modify it for their particular device and their particular need. And how they play back video and some of those things can vary from device to device. Kindle HD takes Android's platform and completely changes it. And so when the HD first came out, we got a bunch of calls because people were buying them. We got a bunch of calls. The video was not playing. We went in, we looked at the device, and within 10-15 minutes of my development team knowing about it, they had it fixed. And that's going to happen from time to time because what happens, as you all know, with browsers and all these sorts of operating systems, they don't tell you. When Facebook makes a change, they generally don't tell you. Like you find out one day that your Facebook account is completely secure, and then next day you find out it's not secure because Facebook made a change and you've got to go in and manually update because of the change. That can happen with video players as well, and so we rely on our customers, our subscribers, to send us emails and say, hey, what's up with this? And then we go in and it's either just some weirdness with their device and we tell them what to do, or if it's a big picture thing, then our dev team goes in, looks at it very fast, and they fix it, because that's really important to us. Our whole reputation, as every other online video platform will tell you, is on deliverability to all devices. Gotcha. So I hope that answers that question.
Dan Rollins, Dan the Man, bam. What's up, buddy? Is there a way to add a transcript or auto-transcribe the videos?
No, we don't do that, and we have no plans to do that. I can tell you who does that really well is Wistia. I think Wistia does it really very expensive, but they're a good company. I'm in New Hampshire. They're based down in Somerville, Mass., not too far from here, in the orbit of Boston. and very good company. I check them out. They'll do it for you. And Bright Cove will too, but Bright Cove is and they're also down there in Cambridge near MIT and that whole tech community. Bright Cove will do it as well, but Bright Cove, if you haven't experienced already, is extremely expensive. But I think you can do it with Wistia and do it very well. It's not a feature we're going to add.
Rock and roll. Got a couple left here, my man. Darren Fitzgerald, thanks again for being on the call too. Which business models have shown the greatest growth in monetized content? What's working best out there that you are hosting?
Great question, Darren.
Monetized content, yeah. So what business model? That's kind of an open question. I'm gonna try to answer that, and I'll take a follow-up on it.
Maybe he's talking more in terms of what types of content is selling the best. I mean, what types of clients, industries, videos are people having the most success with?
All right, so e-learning. I don't see a lot of the customers that have come in using the content monetization. I don't see a lot of people selling their films, for example. Excuse me. I think if you've got a video you want to sell, like a independent film, something, you're not going to iPlayer, you're going to Vimeo. That's Vimeo's niche. They're really good at that because A, they're a social platform, and more people will find your video. They're not going to find it on iPlayer. And they have a content. They work with Kling. I think they've just recently launched their own content monetization, but you can also use Kling. I know they have the tipping thing now too, which is kind of cool on Vimeo. I like Vimeo. They get that tip jar. If you like a video, you can tip. Sort of like crowdfunding. People actually pay for stuff when they don't have to. It's interesting, the psychology there, the dynamic. But so I think e-learning for iPlayer. Almost all of our content that's sold is e-learning. One in particular that just comes to the top of my mind is a website called Accent Pro Training, ACCENT Pro Training.com. And her name is Camilla. It looks like Camilla, but it's pronounced like Pamela. Camilla Smith. I think she's in British Columbia, maybe Vancouver. She's really cool. She teaches people how to enunciate, I think she would say. She teaches how to speak and where to put inflections and all sorts of stuff. And she's got a lot of video up there. And she's got subscriptions and just single views and all that stuff. And you can see how she uses the platform. She actually created a video on how to use her platform, including how to buy videos and all that sort of stuff on the site. But Camilla Smith, and I know she works with us. I think she may have a Vimeo video up there as well. But and that's e-learning. And again, I've got so many fitness. Anybody selling knowledge. And bloggers can use it too. So if a blogger, I haven't seen a lot of this, but this is sort of where I thought it was going to go originally. You're a blogger, and maybe you get 5,000 or 10,000 people a month reading your blog, which isn't bad. But as you know, if you're making money on that blog through some sort of advertising, say you've got a relationship with Google, and Google's putting videos on your blog. You get paid by Google based on the impressions and maybe click-throughs too, but whatever the case may be, 10,000 uniques a month isn't enough to make you any real money. You got to be up over 100,000 views before you really make any money on a blog. So let's say that your blog is about you interview cool people, like you interview somebody a lot cooler than me, but you interview Chris Simmons, and it's a really powerful interview, and you want to pay for that. Yeah, right. Well, Chris, you got a lot of knowledge. So someone wants to pay you about video producing. Not me. I'm a sales guy, so to speak. I mean, yeah, I'm helping you with online video platform, but Chris might have real useful information, and you may be willing to pay for that. He's got a blog, and he puts a video up there on a particular subject or particular subjects. And you want to learn about that subject. It could be how to use a camera, how to do lighting. You know who does that is lightingforrealestate.com. Malia Campbell and Scott Hargis, they do it. Lightingforrealestate.com, they use iPlayer. So on a blog, you might want to use it. And because you can't, again, at 10,000, you're not going to get any money from Google. But if they have to pay to see the video, look, if you're not making any money on this video at all, you're making nothing on the video. It's just on your blog. You're not making anything for having the blog, but you're spending all this time working on it. If someone doesn't watch your video, does not watch your video because they don't want to pay for it, oh well, see you later. I'm only caring about the ones that are willing to pay for it because they're going to pay me something, And something is better than nothing. Now, that all depends on your business model and all the other goals of the blog, but I mean, I think you get my point. So blogging is one way. I haven't seen a lot of it, though, but mostly I see it's the business models of people who sell their information to people who are willing to pay for it.
Perfect.
So, yeah, and a lot of that, yeah, it'd be nice if they all hired professional videographers. But a lot of them do it just the way we're doing it right here, which is on a webcam, because people are used to seeing that in e-learning type of situations. Now, obviously, if you're doing fitness, you're doing music and other sorts of things, you generally need a professional to do it for you and get it done right. I get frustrated, honestly, sometimes when I deal with folks that that don't know how to work with the camera and editing system, because I'm the guy I want to help everybody. It's my coding. I want it when someone calls me and has nothing to do with iPlayer and they need help with an editing system or how to optimize. I don't ever say no. It's just me. I like to help them. And I've said the same thing to my team. It's like, you know what? Let's just, when someone says I've got Final Cut Pro and I got the new version and it won't allow me to put in the data rate, I say, well, just show them what a compressor can do and tell them to use compressor and send them this screenshot right here, and that'll get them to where they want to go. It's beyond the scope of what we do, but you know what? You've solved that person's problem, and there's a good chance you've made a friend for life. Because it's always, for all of us, it's about lifetime customer value, right?
That's
absolutely
great. That's a great motto to live by. I really love that. And I had one question. What would you say is the percentage of video professionals that make up your business, actually, compared to all these other, you've mentioned some
That's a good question. Yeah, you go back to more digital, 100%. Go back to more cast, probably 75%. iPlayer, well under 10%. Wow. Yeah. Because of Vimeo. I mean, Vimeo is a great platform, and I'm not trying to lose anybody here to Vimeo. But again, with Vimeo, you'll never get anybody on the phone, okay? Getting support from Vimeo is difficult, and most of the time. It's a great company, but it's a social platform with a huge audience and a very limited budget. I think a lot of us who understand the online video platform business, we're all sort of waiting to see what happens with Vimeo. Because if you Google Vimeo and look up Google sale and all that, look up Vimeo sale and all that, you'll find that Barry Diller, who owns a substantial stake in a company called IEC out of New York, IEC owns Vimeo. It's one of IEC's properties on the web. And he's been trying to sell 25% of the company for $50 million for the last 2 years, and there's been no takers. Why? Because Vimeo doesn't make any money. Right now, Vimeo is not a business. Vimeo is a hobby. And if you're the investors in IEC, you're going to start getting anxious. When are we going to figure out how to take a company that gives away most of its stuff for free? Brightcove, when Brightcove started out back in 2005, 2006, they generated over 50,000 free subscribers. In August of 2009, they told every single one of them, your free, actually it was the summer of 2008, by December of 2008, your free subscription is gone. No more freemiums. Because we can't, our investors who have $100 million in this company and we're still losing money, we got to find a way to monetize, because how patient are these investors? Most investors want 10x. They want 10 times what they put in a company. So, they're not getting it. So they get rid of their free ones. Vimeo cannot get rid of their free. They can't, because it's a social network. It's what they do. So they've got a very interesting problem that they're facing, and I'm very curious. Nobody, including me, wants Vimeo to go away. It serves a great need. The question is, how do they pay their light bill? And they have a problem with that right now, and it'll be interesting to see what happens. So I don't think I answered any particular question there, but it was interesting information, I guess. What was your question again? What was that?
I think we got it all. I'm not sure what this is. Final thing from Jim. I don't think he's planning. Can I submit a Celtic video pay-per-view on there?
Listen, right now I don't think anybody wants to watch the Boston Celtics unless it's Larry Bird. I'm saying Celtic. Are you saying Celtic as in Ireland or Boston Celtics? Boy, that game against Miami, they came within 2 points of breaking the streak 2 weeks ago. It was a frustrating game because they were up by 25 points. So can you put a Celtic game up on iPlayer and monetize it? Listen, you can do anything you want until you get caught. What do they say? It's better to apologize later than ask permission first. If you put the video up there and I see it, I am not obligated to ask you if you have permission to sell that video. It's not what we're required to do. So we don't question it. I don't know what you're doing with all your videos. You know how many videos are up on iPlayer? We can't possibly look at it all and see how they're all applied. Plus, I can't see where you're embedding them. I could if I wanted to, but we don't bother with that. We could see wherever you put all your videos. We could look for it. In fact, one part of the analytics that we'll be delivering is you'll be able to see wherever anyone that has shared your video, you'll be able to see the pages that they're embedded on, so you can go look at them, right? But we don't do that, so I don't care. If I get if Red Auerbach's spirit sends me a email from heaven, boy, wouldn't that be worth a lot of money? If I get an email from him saying take it down, then I would have to take it down. Does that answer your question?
Perfect.
Yep.
Well, rock and roll, my man. Well, that's all we've got. We truly appreciate you being on the call today. I hope everybody found that useful. I know it was definitely some great information. So yeah, rock and roll, man.
Yeah, I mean,
hey, it was great to be here, and have fun.
Yeah, I mean, just it's cool, Wes. I've got like 5 pages of notes here on just. I've been doing business with you for so long, but there's so many things that I didn't know that I could be taking advantage of, and plus just all the ideas that spring from, the way that you're interacting with other people that are asking questions, and it's just really a cool thing. Michael and I were kind of chatting sort of offline while you were answering some of the questions, and there's, what we want to try to do for you is somehow a lot of the answers here, I mean, we could even give you some of that raw footage if you would want to post it somewhere on your website or whatever in terms of just the functionality of a lot of things. Because I know that's one thing that I love about, I guess, the day and the age of how things are working now. Is it's just like, I know the more that I can teach my customers how every part of my business works, the more I sell. And it's just crazy how that is. So anyway, that's a topic for another day. But again, thank you so much, guys. If you're considering a paid host, we have no financial relationship with Wes, so we don't make a dime off of recommending iPlayer. But seriously, check it out. Do the free trial. I think you'll like it. There are other companies out there that do a fantastic job as well, so it's definitely not trying to say that one is better than the other. I can just say from my own personal experience, doing business with iPlayer, I'm doing business with the guy who's right here on this camera. It's not some company with a bunch of faceless people that I don't know, I don't understand. I mean, I've had conversations with Wes, I've emailed, everything is great. So if you're considering making that leap into the paid hosting environment, definitely make iPlayer at least one of the top 3 that you would test from a free trial standpoint.
Rock and roll. Well, we've got a few
and if you have any questions about iPlayer, or anything in general, compressing video for the web, uploading, things like that, just email me. You can email anything at iPlayerHD. I have a catch-all account. I'll get it. But otherwise, Wes at iPlayerHD.com, and I'll be happy to get back to you.
Awesome. Thanks, Wes. Well, we're going to let you go. We've got a couple housekeeping items that we do at the end of every show, but thank you so much. We appreciate it, and we'll talk to you soon.
Cheers. Thanks, buddy. Rock and roll.
Right, or as they say in Israel, shalom. Okay. Bye-bye.
There you go.
Thanks, buddy. All right.
All right, man. Hell of a show. It's awesome. These things, they seem to get, I don't say better and better based on the type of people that get on here, but just the fact that, I don't know, it's just the interaction. I think the audience, I mean, there's just a much, people I think are starting to get it, in terms of, well, how can we take the information that this person is providing and apply it in a way that can benefit our own companies financially. I mean, dude, it's crazy. I mean, I've got just unbelievable amount of notes here from everything he's saying that I'm, as soon as I get off of this call, I'm going to be logging into my iPlayer account going, well, holy crap, you mean I could do all these videos that I've got posted everywhere in the universe, I could immediately add social sharing to all of it, or I can look at some things and maybe come up with some content monetization ideas. I'm fired up about that.
Awesome. Well, I've just got a couple things here too, guys. If you haven't seen it, if you're on expertinterrogations.com, there's an image right above it. We're doing something pretty cool. We're giving away a GoPro Hero 3, the white edition, but there's the link that links straight up to the sign up, or right above the expert interrogation call here on expertinterrogations.com. We'll link that up here. But also, guys, we always want to share with you, well, we first of all appreciate you all being on the call here. And honestly, guys, you know, Richard Sands was on the call. He's been with us for a little bit as one of our insiders, which I'll mention here in a second. But he says, this is great, and we love what you guys are doing. You guys we need to spread the word. And honestly, guys, if you're loving this, we need you to do that. I mean, not that we're not doing everything we can to spread the word, but you guys can really help with that. So if you're loving what we're doing, we want to continue this. I mean, we're really trying to do minimally one a week, you know, upwards of 2 a week, every Tuesday and Thursday, same time. There's replays, which are always available right after the call. There's also an archives page where you can access all the old ones. There's a transcript below every single expert interrogation, so you can see every question that was answered on the call. There's also an audio download. And if you've got experts or people that you'd really like to see that you think would benefit your business, you know, just let us know and use the Suggest an Expert button. And then we also, Chris and I have a site, you know, which you're seeing on my name here, right, somewhere right there, Create Insights. It's also on the title there on the screen, and I'll link it up here. But Chris and I have a site, createinsights.com, and we're serious about helping video professionals take their business to the next level. We have a free trial right there. We just linked up for our coaching program. You can get in there, and we do something like this every single Wednesday where we do a call where you can log in. We all interact. We have a great community in there, super positive. I know there's been a lot of complaints from people out there. I want to stress this on this particular call of things being negative. Negative on different Facebook groups, negative on forums. And when I've called people or talked to different people, they really appreciated that we have a zero tolerance it create for that. I was just popping on some forums here earlier this morning just looking at, and one guy is really beefing up somebody that posted an amazing video, and instantly there's a bunch of stupid comments and a bunch of just banter that has nothing to do with the video, and they can't even just be supportive of this person, you know, got a job with a very high profile client. So there's zero tolerance for that. There's zero tolerance for that here on the expert interrogation calls. I mean, we've banned people honestly before when they're being, you know, not friendly about it. I mean, we can, you know, we can have things from here from time to time, but and also on the calls, if you can't make our coaching calls, our assistant Keith is on the call right now, and she's awesome. You can email questions in about your you know, things you have regarding your video production company. She'll queue it up on the call. We'll answer it, and she'll email you back exactly where we answered it, because we do these for 2 hours every single Wednesday, and we haven't missed a call since last May. So again, guys, we're really serious about, you know, helping you guys, you know, grow your video production companies, and we're just ready to rock and roll with this, and we want to keep it moving, and we need your help to help all this stuff grow. So that's all I've really got right now. We appreciate you guys being on the call today. We have another one. I think Dave might still be on the call. Dave Wowchuk is going to be on next Tuesday. We appreciate him. And Chris can tell you a little bit about him for a second, anything else he's got to say. But again, thank you guys so much. I would truly appreciate it.
Yeah, Dave is a guy, first and foremost, I wish my last name was Wowchuk. Like, wow, Chuck. You know, I just think it's so cool. But, you know, Dave has been very helpful. I've known Dave several years, you know, in terms of online. I mean, we've chatted a lot. We've helped each other solve problems with different projects. You know, he helped me with some technical stuff. I helped him with some proposal work. So it was really kind of a cool back and forth. But the reason that we invited Dave to be an expert on this show is because he's doing a lot of freelance type work. I mean, he's freelancing for networks. He's doing sports. He's traveling, you know, into other countries to do freelance work. And so I thought it would be a good opportunity to interrogate a guy on all the issues related to, you know, working out of country, you know, work visas, travel, all that kind of stuff, plus just kind of the general business model related to how to make it as kind of a full-time freelancer. I know there's more. Dave, if you're listening, I know there's a lot more to you than just the freelance side, but I'm just looking at your posts and everything. I know that that's a big part of what you do. But I can tell you what I'm very interested in is how do you, you know, sort of balance your life, because you've got, I mean, a wife I think I saw on Facebook the other day that you've been with for 28 years. You know, I don't know if you're married that long, but you know, been with for 28 years. I know you have children. And so it's this cool thing that we all deal with. I mean, it's not cool, I guess, but the thing that we all deal with is the concept of balance. You know, how do we be successful as video production, you know, company owners, freelance shooters, editors, the whole deal, but then still keep our heads screwed on right as it relates to what really matters, and that's our family. I know that's something I struggle with every day, so I'm kind of excited to talk to you a little bit about that side of things too. So guys, definitely tune in next week so that you can check out what Dave's got to say and think about the questions that you want to submit, and we will be ready to go.
Yeah, and John's new on the call, John Wallach here, and he's really enjoyed it. And guys, we've got a lot of awesome people you know, scheduled this year that we're going to be getting on. And again, if you guys have other people that you'd like to see, let us know. We really want to be consistent with this. We know that there's not a lot of resources like this, and especially the way we're doing it. You know, a lot of guys at times have done interviews, but you guys never get to interact. And I know that I've had stuff in the past when I was growing my production company where I'm like, gosh, I've got this question for this guy. I wish I could, and they're impossible to get a hold of. And so that's what's great about this. We're bringing in each individual unique expert, but with our coaching program, I think you guys would really, really enjoy that. You know, it's a great community. We've got a forum on there. You know, just a lot of access to great things, and it's only going to continue to grow. And with your help, it can. And honestly, with your help, we can continue to do this on a regular basis. So, you know, we're super passionate about this. We appreciate it. And we hope you guys have an amazing weekend. And that's all we got right now. So rock and roll, and we will talk to you later.
All right, guys. Thanks. See ya.